Vutala now comes with a set of templates, and one of them is this example prop. In the getting started video, I detail how to start working with this and how to get up and running with it. So I'll just show one of the features here that is really important is that the whole setup builds off of a joint hierarchy. So you'll see that all of these controls have like an FK hierarchy. There's a main control, and then all these other controls are parented underneath it. That's all coming from the structure file. So it's all coming from this joint hierarchy. So the colors, the naming, uh, the hierarchy, even the size of the controls are influenced by these joints. And so let's say I'm rigging a quick prop, and let's show just how customizable this is. So I can, first off, I'll update my model. So this is my model. I'm just going to do file new, and I'll do something like, I'll create a platter, and then I'll create a bunch of geometry on the platter. And sphere. So let's say this is my new model, and I need to rig this super fast. So I'll save out my geometry, and I will set up my structure. So in my structure now, I can just plop down joints. So I'll put a joint at the center for the main joint, and I'll size it up. So that'll be my main controller. And then I will put a joint here, a joint here, and a joint here. And those are just roughly placed. Yeah. Okay, so then with those joints placed, I will size them up a little, and I will parent them underneath joint 1, and I'll just give them a quick naming. Cone, and then this will be joint torus, and this will be joint sphere. Okay, so basically this will also be my controllers. So if I go into Vutala Hub and I open up my color picker now, I can give my base maybe a red color. I can give my cone a green color. I'll give my torus a purpley color. And I'll give my sphere a blue color. Okay, so if I delete my geometry, just want to make sure that I saved that out. So I'll just go to my model, select my geometry, export selected, and then I can delete it now. So now I have a base control, I have a torus, or a cone, torus, and sphere control, and they all have different colors. So now I can go to my structure, export selected. So there's my structure. So now if this is working, I should be able to build it up to this point, and we should get our geometry coming in, and we should get our controls. Now there's something wrong happening with the model. Oh, it's expecting a group, so let me just add a group. Control group, this model, export, and process. Okay, so now I have a big base control. And so something that's happened here is I need to change a little bit of the config. So inside of FK, it only created a control on the joint that had children. Any joint that didn't have children didn't get a control. So that is under, where is it? Skip joints with no children. So if I just turn that off, or just don't specify it at all, now if I build it up to that point again, it will build joints that have no children. or it'll build controls on joints that have no children. Not quite happy with the size there, so then I can just go into my structure and I can size up these joints a little bit to like 10 or even 15. Okay, so this will inform my size, export that, and let's build this again. Okay, so now we have our base control, we have our cone, we have our torus, and we have our sphere. And everything is following the hierarchy of the joints. And now I just have to skin it. And to skin it, I ended up doing an auto weight for the other part. But for these particular joints, I can just hand weight it. So I'll just go skin, rigging, skin, line, skin, select a joint, closest distance apply. And this joint to this joint, G, and this joint to this joint, G. Yeah, so, oh, no, that didn't work. So this to this, apply. Should have worked. Yep. This joint to this joint, apply. Okay. And this one I think was working already, yep. And let's skin this one, apply. So now I have it all skinned. And we're starting to have, I can hide my joints. We're starting to have a finished prop setup. So I would just go here and go to my, add some weight data, and export from selected. And then I could just turn this off, and then I could just do data import and do weight skin cluster. So then now if I build this whole thing, I should have a finished prop rig. Okay, so settings is having an issue. Oh, it's looking for joint core. Oh yeah, for joint setting. So what I could do there is just feed it the joint base. So that's probably being defined up here in the put. Yeah, so if I just call this joint base, and now process this again. Okay, and then the parenting here, show last log, joint core again. Let's call it joint base. Or I could, yeah, just do that and process. Okay, so there we go. We have our working prop. It's got these controllers, and we could even bring it a little bit further. One thing we could do is give it an FK scale rig. Pretty sure that'll work. Let's try it. And then, so now these should be scalable. Yep. Let's try this one. Yep. And so if you're having an issue where, like this one, you scale it and the children are not scaling properly, you could, I think you can just go to this joint chain and turn off segment scale compensate. Segment scale compensate. Turn that off. Save up my structure again. Process it. And then now if I scale it, it's all following along. If I don't like how high this gear went, I can bring it down and just do, I could add a control CV positions, export from selected, I'll just export all. And then I can just bring in that data when the rig is finished, so new data import, import control CVs, and process this again. And so now you can see the gear is coming in nice and close to the base. And another thing we could do is, let's say I need some sub-controls on each of these controllers. So I'm hoping maybe to simplify this a little bit in the future, but for right now, it's just a matter of doing rig.set sub control count, and I'll just give it 4, and then rig.set create subcontrols. We need to turn that on. Okay, and then probably another thing we'll want to do is rig.set set hide subtranslate to false. So then we'll be able to translate our subcontrols. So then now if I build this, if it's working, I should have subcontrols on each of these. So let's go here. Now they're very tiny. That's something I'll fix in the future, but for now I can just go here and go to my controls and just scale up the pivot. If I drag slower, it goes faster, which is weird. Okay, so there's my subcontrols for that box. And then for these ones, I can go and turn them on. And let's just hide my geometry so I can select them easier. So I just want to select this, this, and this, and go VitalaHub, pivot. And so now I have subcontrols for that, and if I want, I can go here and export the control CVs so that it keeps the scaling that I did to these subcontrols. So export all, and now if I build this again, so there's still some improvements that need to be made. I need to make sure the subcontrols have the same color as their parent control. So that's something that needs to be fixed, and I need to make sure that they have a similar scale to their parent control. But you can see it's really easy to have multiple subcontrols on a arbitrary FK setup. In the past, people have asked for being able to have subcontrols on like spaceships, and the FK rig didn't really do it very well, and you'd have to use some other setup or do something manually. So now you can just specify those parameters or those settings, and it will build those subcontrols. So I could go further with this. I could have like all sorts of branching hierarchies. You can see that the hierarchy on this, on the original, well, not here. Wait, yes, here. In the original hierarchy, you can see that it had a very complex hierarchy, and the setup's able to build off that. So if I go to my actual dev example, which is fresh, it's able to build that complex hierarchy just from the joint chain. So any kind of complex hierarchy you throw at it, it should be able to build a control setup. And so again, for props that require just lots of controllers for different odds and ends, this can help save a lot of time.